Okay, it is the appointed hour. Call the meeting to order. Would you call the roll?
Certainly. John Blackwelder.
Here.
Peggy Broadway.
Here.
Annette Stone.
Here.
James Bisbee.
Here.
Candace Sullivan.
Present.
Tony Bryant.
Present.
Let's see, Ellen Sheridan is absent. Ruth Cox is excused, and Tripp Ure is excused.
So we have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Good to go.
Did you say Ellen was already not going to be here, so would that make her?
Oh, that's right, excused also, sorry.
She's
Yep,
excused,
good
yes.
point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have there been some minutes published?
No.
I won't call for approval then. Okay, I have some introductory comments. Historic Preservation Commission is a public commission appointed by the City of New Bern's Board of Aldermen. It's responsible for preserving and safeguarding New Bern's locally designated historic districts, downtown and Riverside, based on U.S. Department of Interior guidelines, state statutes, city ordinances, and New Bern's historic guidelines. Two of the major tasks we have is approving applications for certificates of appropriateness and preventing demolition of historic districts by neglect. We hold quasi-judicial hearings on the applications for certificates of appropriateness. The commissioners hear sworn testimony and evidence provided by the applicant, by parties who received notice of the hearing, and by others who can justify that they have relevant comments and standing. The commission can't consider comments based on personal likes and dislikes, hearsay, personal opinion not backed up by facts related to the guidelines. And likewise, we will refrain from stating personal opinions, dislikes, etc. And the commission makes a decision on the application based solely on the testimony and evidence presented at the hearing. Would you swear in our presenters?
Certainly. Okay, anyone who will nay or expecting to speak, please come forward or be sworn in. Okay, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth to the best of your knowledge.
I think
Go ahead and sign. Print your name and your address. And if anyone changes their mind later, we'll just have you come forward with that.
While that's being completed, here's our process for tonight. The HPC administrator will provide an overview of the application. The applicant or the representative can present the application or comment on it. Proponents and opponents of the application who receive notice are allowed to present evidence. We can have a rebuttal by the applicant. Others who justify that they have relevant information can speak. The HPC administrator will present his findings and recommendation. The applicant has a final opportunity to make comments. The commissioners will then hear evidence and ask questions, etc. And then I'll ask for a motion to approve or deny the application, and we'll have a discussion and make a decision. So, the first one on the agenda is 207 Pollock Street.
That's correct. You won't need to stand up yet.
Okay.
It'll be a few minutes. Okay, so we'll start with the application. Here's the front page here, 207 Pollock Street. Property owners are Mike and Alana, or Elena Huber. And they've provided the information required there and signed and dated the application. Is Mr. and Ms. Huber here? Okay, thank you. So this is the front view of the house, and then the side view in the back. And we're going to be talking about removing that entire wooden stairway structure, as well as then closing off that doorway at the top of the stairway. And then also adding a fence around the bottom of at the grass area here, we'll see in a minute. A little better, some other angles here. So here's the front fence, and then that fence will be continued along the driveway to the back and around that curved edge of the grass at the back. This was a Sanborn map showing in the upper left corner, the second house from the left is the subject property. Then we also have some additional photographs here, closer up view at this angle, showing the stairway structure, and also there is a mechanical unit here in the foreground. Again, I think that's relatively the same picture we saw before. This one is now from the rear, looking back towards the front. And now you can see more of the grassy area that the fence will be traveling or be installed along the edge of the grass. And they've provided, in this case, this is a view of that doorway that is where the X is on the drawing, and showing how they plan to cover that entranceway with siding. In fact, not just the entranceway, but that entire segment of the upper portion of that part of the structure. So essentially removing all the siding above the basically floor level and up to the soffit and reinstalling new wood siding. They also show the existing fascias to remain, so nothing is touched there. The existing window is to remain. And they are intending to, there's a note here to say that says hold reveal. That is to say that the new siding will maintain the setback in the building on the right-hand side here to the right of the window. And then also noting the removal of the wooden structure and stairs. And here's just a schematic view of the fence that would be then along that edge of the grass at the bottom of the stairs there. They added some additional sketches here to help us out. This might be okay. I have a little bit bigger pictures, but on the left, obviously, the fence out front that they're matching. I'll show you a bigger sketch in a minute. And then again, a photograph of the stairway, but they also have a plan view here now, so that will come up too in a second. So here's the larger version of the fence, showing their sketch of that, 48 inches tall, wooden fence, backed by 2x4s, supported by 4x4s, set in concrete 18 inches below grade, and it's all wood. The pickets essentially are 1x4s, and again to match the existing out front. Then the plan view of this, you see the fence is shown here as the line with the X's on it. It actually extends beyond this right-hand corner along the facade of the building. Is that correct?
I think we'd probably go from that corner just based on the fact that if it went to the existing structure, it's very narrow between the house and where the fence, which would...
All right, so we'll take a look at that again.
Right.
So right here,
yes,
you're planning on it actually abutting the building here rather than going along the driveway?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So less fencing than before. Okay, so back down to the plan. And so this shows then that the two HVAC pads will remain, and this second one, I suppose, that was at the bottom of the steps, the HVAC unit will stay there. The steps will be gone, and essentially the concrete steps leading up to that landing would remain as well, but there would just be an HVAC unit there. The area below the stairway will be planted with lawn, grass, a green area, maybe some landscaping But then there's an existing portico on the rear and some steps to that. Now, this plan does not indicate any gates on it. So are you intending to have gates, or is this just an exit out to the green area and then you have to go back in the house?
No, the intent is to put a gate to allow entrance for any maintenance on the HVAC or
Okay.
anything like that.
Okay.
Just a single swing gate that would go in.
Are there two gates then?
No, sir, just the single swing gate to get into where the HVAC is, that where he shows the existing patio, there's a door out of the back of the house that would provide access to the green space there.
Okay.
And so will the gate be along the alley or along the back parking area?
We were,
I'm sorry, driveway or?
yeah, we plan to put it alongside the driveway just for
Mhm.
proximity to those units there if they need maintenance.
Okay. I would only suggest that we just get a revised drawing of this to show the gate. And then, is the gate going to be exactly the same as the fence in that it's just basically a hinged portion of the fencing?
That's correct. Yep, it'll look identical to the
Almost like a hidden gate.
48 inch panels.
Is it correct that you're not extending the fence in the front all the way back?
That's correct.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
we considered doing that, but based on the distance from the house,
Yeah.
anything that would grow in there would be
Yeah.
hard to get at to keep it looking presentable, and in this way, it'll still match the existing fence, but you'll see the side of the house and the plants that are there now. So I think it'll, from the way it looks, I think it will look better.
Yep. Is that it, Matt?
Oh, yes, sorry. We do have our zoning and inspections form here, report. And here, what? I guess I did not provide well, I can tell you that the zoning administrator had said that it meets the requirements of the land use ordinance, but I'm not quite sure if the building inspector has said that it will or will not require a building permit, so one or the other, but I guess we'll have to check with them.
Okay.
One way or the other. And that's it, then we're ready with our recommendations. Sorry.
Okay.
I do have it on the computer if you really need that. In fact, actually, why don't I just go ahead and do that? This better be, no, I don't know what happened.
When we get a motion, we can make it contingent on,
So I'm feeling all of
On
them are
that
that way
being
at
done.
this point. Okay.
okay. Do you want to make any additional comments?
I don't, no, sir, I don't have any additional comments. but
Okay.
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is there anyone in opposition to this plan that wants to speak? Okay. Okay, ready for Matt's findings?
Okay. All right. So these are our recommendations here for Mike and Elena Huber at 207 Pollock Street. This is historically known as the James M. Howard House. It's a contributing structure, and in the National Register inventory description, it was built 1890 with 2 stories, L plan, 5 bays wide, octagonal tower with pyramidal roof, wraparound porch, bracketed cornices, gabled roofs containing patterned shingles, and interior chimneys. Nothing mentioned about the rear portion of the house in Sandbeck, actually. And so the project for 207 Pollock Street is to include removal of an existing wood exterior stairway and existing second floor exterior doorway, replacing wood siding on the second story rear side wall to cover the doorway opening, and extension of the wood fencing from along the side of the driveway. All this in the secondary and tertiary AVCs. Staff submits the following historic district guidelines are appropriate to this application. For fences and garden walls, 2.5.1, 2.5.3. For modifications, 3.2.1, 3.2.4. Walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.1. Windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.1. Wood, 5.2.1 and 5.2.2. Paint, 5.4.2. 5.4.3 and 5.4.4. The statements of reason based on the information contained in the application and staff's judgment are: 1, the project is located in the tight weave development pattern in all AVCs. Of course, so I just skipped that in all AVCs part. 2, the proposal is modification and fencing project. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and chief building official really have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. 5, the application is not incongruous with the guidelines. So staff recommends the commission approve this application to include removal of an existing wood exterior stairway and existing second floor exterior doorway, replacing wood siding on second story rear side wall to cover the doorway opening, an extension of the wood fencing from along the side of the driveway, all this in the secondary and tertiary AVCs. That's it.
Okay, I see no one from the city, state, or other government body here, so we have no comments from those folks. Any final thoughts? You don't have to.
No, sir.
Okay, cool.
Unless there's any questions.
Okay, discussion, questions, comments from the board? No?
I
Okay.
can add that I did find the actual hard copy of the report, and the chief building inspector says it will not require a building permit.
Okay, so we're good to go there. Okay. Okay, I think we're ready for a motion then.
Make a motion. Okay, so I move to find the application for 704, no, that's not right, 207 Pollock Street, to be not incongruous with New Bern's Code of Ordinance Sections 15.411-15.429, and New Bern's Historic District Guidelines based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. Thank you, Matt. Fences, 2.5.1 and 3. Modifications, 3.21 and 4. Walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.1. Windows and door openings, 4.3.1. Wood, 5.21 and 2. Paint, 5.42, 3, and 4. And so the findings of facts are that the project is located in the tight weave development pattern. The proposal is a modification and fencing project. The proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. The zoning administrator and the chief building official have in fact reviewed this project and commented accordingly, and the application is not incongruous with the guidelines.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion to issue a COA?
Mr. Acting Chair, just so that the record is abundantly clear, there was mention in the testimony and the presentation by staff about a gate. There was not a depiction of the gate in the package. I understand the applicant has, I guess, modified his application here today to include a gate that would cover where the utility machinery is located. You may want to consider a condition related to the gate.
Okay.
Given the presentation today.
Should I amend my motion or just add it to my motion?
I think you can add it as a condition since the
So-
modification is a part of the application presented tonight.
Right. So if the applicant will provide staff with a drawing or an indication of where the gate, the hidden gate is going to be that will match the rest of the gate in kind, if you will make that a condition of the applicant. A condition of the application is that you supply that to staff, so.
Is Mr. Secondary, agree?
Second.
Oh, it was you. Tony, okay. Okay, all in favor of that motion and amendment, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Need a motion to issue a COA.
So moved.
Moved and second to issue a COA. All in favor, state aye.
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 Opposed? You get a COA with that one understanding. Thank you for taking care of that property.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay. Next is 216 Johnson Street.
All right, 216 Johnson. This is the application for 216 Johnson Street. The property owner is Tom Decker, and the applicant is Curtis Krummel. It is for an application for iron fencing addition to an existing brick wall. And you can see there's reference to the attached materials, and they've signed and dated the application. And this is the owner's authorization for Mr. Curtis Krummel to represent the owner. And this is signed and dated. Okay.
Is what you said correct for Mrs. Corning to represent the owner, I believe it says, isn't it?
It says, yes, Dottie Corning.
Dottie Corning
Representing.
is representing.
So I did not notice this. Dottie Corning, I believe, is the realtor.
She's right
Yes,
there.
she's here.
She's not the owner.
Right. So the owner,
Do you have legal authorization to represent the owner, current owner of the property, Mr. Decker?
Yes, and he signed it.
This is the piece of paper you signed.
Well,
That's-
it's signed by Mr. Krummel.
There's a notation.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. All right, thank you. There's a note on here, I don't know if you can see that underneath, where it says, current owner's consent supplied to the city on 3/30/22, CWK.
Do we have that document?
so there's another form that says that,
Well, an email, I believe,
an email, okay.
yes. So I vaguely remember that. I may have that actually in the file. Let me just check that again. So this is 216. Johnson. Okay, I do not have that in that particular folder. I would have to check all my emails on the 30th, or whatever that date was. I guess we need to do that.
You have seen it.
I vaguely remember that. I cannot swear to that, so, and that was sent by you, Ms. Dottie? Yes, okay. Morning. We have that on. Oh, okay. Sorry, what was the date on that again? 23rd?
No, 3:30.
Oh, 3:30. So, forward letter acknowledging the application. Here we are. You can see at the bottom here, Glenda Decker, dated March 30th, 2022, to Dottie Corning, to whom it may concern, City of New Bern, NC. We are aware that the Krummels, who have a contract to purchase our house at 216 Johnson Street, are applying for a fence addition to the property. So, I don't know, does that qualify as authorization for them to speak about the property?
So for purposes of the record, there is some text below the portion that staff just read on Wednesday, March 30th, 2022, at or about 8:53 a.m. It looks like there's an email where Ms. Dottie says, "Can you please send me an email, which I will forward to the City of New Bern, stating that you acknowledge that the criminals are applying for a fence addition. Something short and simple will do. Thanks." And the response to that inquiry, where it appears that Ms. Dottie has asked for an acknowledgement, is the text that Mr. Shelley just read. So I think reading those two together, you can draw the inference that the property owners are aware and consent to the application going forward. Generally, we require a signed, notarized document, just so that we have very good verification that everybody involved knows what's happening. But if you all are satisfied that you can read those two emails together to deduce that the owners are aware and do consent, then you can make the decision to move forward. I don't know if Mr. Decker or Mrs. Decker are present in the City Hall courtroom today. Okay. But the best evidence you have before you is reading those two emails together.
Okay. I hear. Does anyone have a concern about that?
My only concern is I do not recall that the original plan was to put iron fence on top of a brick
Okay,
fence.
Peggy, that's not the question.
Okay,
The question is, are you satisfied that that Mr. Krummel is authorized to speak on behalf of this application?
and I have no problem with that.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to your question later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have a concern?
I don't have a concern for speaking on behalf of the owners, but that can be solved if there's an addendum to that contract for the purchase of that house. Is it correct? It's closing tomorrow? And do they have, is the addendum to the contract mentioning, or the DDR mentioning about these things?
No, there's no condition on the closing based on the fence, but, no. But, I represent both sides of the contract, so I represent the Deckers and the
Oh.
contract.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to swear in?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
There's more people that come, you're going to get them too. There's new people that have showed up. Chris just showed up too. Chris, you need to get sworn in too. You need to get sworn in too.
I did. All right, please sign or print your name and your address here on the sheet.
And Mr. Acting Chair, it may be appropriate, given the fact that it appears that the Deckers are local, that if the proceedings were to recess momentarily, it might give staff an opportunity to call the Deckers, if we have that information, just so that we can be for certain that they are aware of the proceedings and give their consent to the authorized representative moving forward this evening.
I do have a phone number.
Okay.
So,
That is if anybody has a concern.
Does anybody have a real concern? It's closing tomorrow, and they are aware that you were going to make this application.
Because what I was trying to get at, if it's mentioned in the contract of the home anywhere, then that will be the setting the foundation that we can move forward, because it's already in the written contract between the seller of the home. So that would mean that both parties will be already aware of that, and Ms. Dottie can just go ahead and represent them.
But Dottie's saying it's not in the contract. So
It's not in the contract. No, it was not conditional.
And the contract is not in the record and is not before you tonight, so that's not something necessarily that you could consider if that information was before you. My recommendation to you all would be to recess momentarily, to give staff an opportunity to reach the Deckers, to have that information in the record.
Okay. I'll call a short recess while we do that.
Right now.
all right.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. you ready to resume?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if we've resumed for purposes of the record, staff, Mr. Shelley, contacted the owner of the property, Tom Decker, at 703-899-5389, and confirmed with him by phone that he is aware of the application by Mr. Krummel and does acknowledge the application and consents to Mr. Krummel and/or Ms. Dottie representing them in this application in the hearing tonight.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, moving on. So we'll skip over that, of course. So this is now the additional information they've provided for the application. They have a summary of the project, and they've listed all the guidelines that are applicable, and a description of the proposal. Here we have a photo of the existing condition at the front of the house, and then the proposed condition. You can see adding a portion of metal fencing on top, decorative metal fencing on top of the brick walls. And then for the gate, there is a recessed or pushed back portion of the fence, and then a gate across the top of the steps. That's to allow the gate to swing out or in without bumping into steps or pedestrians. They provided some examples of other similar conditions in our historic district. This one on East Front Street. And this one is now just an example of the fencing that they're proposing, showing appropriate welds and gate hardware by the fabricators that they are proposing to use. And then now a higher angle of that same condition with the new gate and fencing shown on here on the top of this wall. And now they've provided the previous image with some dimensions. Here this dimension says 48 inches. I'm going to zoom in some more because it's hard to read. 48 inches or less. And on the left, the fence is to maintain consistent height. Okay, the next one, let me go down. There's also some additional description there that we can go back to if we need to. We have 48 inches for the gate at the driveway, 40 inches to the ground to match the height on the opposite side of the driveway here on the left. And on the right, the height has a step down of 8 inches on the, let's see, that's Craven Street side. Correct, Craven? Yes. And this is a drawing showing the full extent of the fencing would essentially wrap the entire property. That brick fencing, the brick wall already extends all the way around the property to that extent. And then the 3 gates are shown here in yellow, one here at the front entry walk, one at the driveway, and then the third one I did not yet mention, they did not have photos of that, but across the side of the or the back of the house. All right. And these are the dogs they're planning on and fencing.
That's the reason.
And we have our zoning and inspections review, which is probably blank. Yes. But I have it here. And the winner is the zoning administrator says it meets the requirements of the land use ordinance, and the chief building inspector says it will not require a building permit. All right. And otherwise, I'll be ready for my recommendations when you are.
Okay. I failed to ask it on the previous application, but does anyone has a conflict of interest with this? No, okay. Is there anything you all would like to add? The owner or the prospective owner?
The purpose of this.
Okay, you need to come up to the microphone to speak.
He's not sworn in.
Start by apologizing for the confusion. I was hoping we would have closed by now. The purpose is to keep our dogs enclosed in the property so that they stay safe and the public and neighbors stay safe. And other than that, we wanted to meet the guidelines. And my wife and I have lived in historic district in North Carolina for 24 years, and we're proponents. We understand the protections that gives us. So we wanted to stay within the guidelines, be minimally visible. So with the iron fencing is to keep the lowest profile possible while still doing the job. So happy to answer questions.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition to the proposed plan? Hearing none. Okay. Ready for your findings?
Okay. All right, so this is the recommendations, findings and recommendations for 216 Johnson Street for the applicant Curtis Krummel. And the historic property name is the second Dr. William L. Hand Jr. House. It is a contributing structure in the historic district, and according to the National Register inventory description, it was built in 1926. It is 2 stories brick, 4 bays wide with recessed porch in the left bay, tall Flemish gable entrance bay, gambrel roof, inset and shed dormers. Sandbeck has no relevant information regarding the garden wall. And so the description of the project for 216 Johnson Street is to include adding to the top of the existing retaining wall and garden wall a decorative metal fence and gates in all AVCs. So staff submits the following historic district guidelines are appropriate to this application for fences and garden walls 2.5.1, 2, and 3, for masonry 5.1.1, for metal 5.3.2, 3, and 4. The statements of reason based on the information contained in the application and staff's judgment are the project is located in the tight weave development pattern. Second, the proposal is a garden wall modification and fencing project. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, the application is not incongruous with the guidelines. So staff recommends the commission approve this application to include adding to the top of the existing retaining wall and garden wall a decorative metal fence and gates in all AVCs.
Okay. Just for clarification, the fence on top of the wall is actually 4 feet or less from the ground level inside the existing wall. Is that correct?
Inside the existing wall.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Questions or comments?
No.
Okay. Ready for motion? Oh, sorry.
Okay. I move to find the application amendment for 216 Johnson Street to be not incongruous with the New Bern Code of Ordinance, sections 15.411-15.429, and New Bern's Historic District Guidelines, based on the following specific guidelines and findings of fact. So, can you move that up for me? So, the findings of fact are...
Is your screen not working?
Speak up.
Yes, she was waiting for you to move.
Fences and garden walls, 2.5.1, 2.5.2, 2.5.3, masonry, 5.1.1, metal, 5.3.2, 5.3.3, 5.3.4, and statements of finding. The project is located in a tight weave developmental pattern. The proposed
proposal is a garden wall modification and fencing project. The proposed design components and materials meet the guidelines. The zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. The application is not incongruous with the guidelines.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve this application for COA. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none? We're done deal.
Motion to issue a COA.
Motion to issue a COA.
Wait, we need a motion first.
Need a motion.
Mr. Blackwell.
So moved. John second.
John seconds?
No,
Okay.
he said so moved.
Oh, did he? All right.
He was
John,
quiet over there. He did it.
John has got the motion. Who's got the second? Annette?
Annette,
There you go. Yes.
And the vote?
all in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Sorry for the confusion, everyone. I should have noticed that before.
Thank
It
you.
all came out in the wash.
Ready for 823 Pollock Street.
All right. This is the application for 823 Pollock Street for John and Tonya Barrett. And they have all this information here. And they have signed and dated the application. And one of the two is here, I suppose? Yes, no? Are the Barretts here? So there's nobody here to speak to the application?
Is that a problem?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I would suggest we continue this to the next meeting. I don't know, maybe they went to the wrong building. So can we continue it to the end of the agenda in case they're just late?
You can just hold it open and commence with another
Go to
item.
the next application.
Okay. So, all right.
Okay, we're ready for the 411 Broad Street.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. So this is the application for 411 Broad Street. The owner is George Anna Smith, and the applicant is Chris Hovland, or Hovland, how do you say it, sir? Hovland? Yeah. Here we have a detailed description of the work, and the detailed description of the materials, and he's signed and dated, and since he's actually the tenant, he has the owner's authorization to represent them in this application. Here we have Georgiana Smith. So this is the site plan for the project, and it's basically the project is occurring in this patio area shown on the site plan. So the building itself is shown here as a hatched line, and so the patio is the vacant space on the property. In the back, the front is Broad Street, and immediately to the side is another brick building, which begins to wrap around the third side of the patio, and there's a concrete pad next to that as well. So, and then immediately behind the patio to the south is parking. And so this is a letter stating that he will want to brick in the windows like this, the window and the door like this, the existing ones, which is the same as on the Chelsea. I'm not exactly sure why this is here, but
That was to show
you want, can you
the
please?
sidewalk.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right.
That was just to show the back of the Chelsea, how the city had come through and brought the sidewalk all the way to our pad. So I was just using that as an example for our location at 411. I don't want to bring the gate, if I get approved for this, all the way to the back. It won't go to the parking lot. It'll be recessed in 2 or 3 feet for trash cans or anything. But I wanted to finish it so that it all looked the same and clean.
All right, maybe we'll get to that detail in a minute. All right, so this is one of the light fixtures that he's proposing. And then the fencing is not that one, but this one, where it shows 2 rails on the top and 1 across the bottom. And then the gates, I guess it's that one there as well. Color is black, not chocolate. They're showing it here as 48 inches high. And showing some of the installation to show how the connectors are concealed. And here's some more details of all that. Not exactly that one.
Those were second choice with the supply chain that we have. I wasn't sure which I was going to be able to get.
Could you speak up a little bit, Chris?
That was my second choice because I was worried about the supply chain. So the very first one is what I'm going to go
Oh, I
with.
gotcha. So I would suggest you need to select one or the other.
The
So
very
the first one,
is what I'm
okay.
going to go with.
And then if you decide to change it later, we can do an amendment to your proposal.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Or an amendment to your approval, sorry. So then these are 48-inch rails. That's the height. I'm sorry. So you have, this is again the second choice. Okay, gotcha.
Second choice.
Still second choice. All right. All right. And then this was basically the sketch that he provided to give us an idea of the actual space itself. And so to explain here, you can see the fencing is to be right along the back edge of the grassy area, the gate smack dab in the middle, and the entire backyard, so to say, will be paved in concrete. And then the red door and the red window would be bricked in, closed, and the black over here on the left, you can probably see, let me even zoom in case it's a little more difficult. There is a window there, and they would like to enlarge the window to create a new door. So the door is on the left rather than in the middle. All right. And then it shows the light above the center where the door used to be, or will become the place where it used to be. So something like that. Okay. And then they provided some, I'm going to go a little bit smaller, some of the details for the door construction in the window. So the door they're proposing would have a 3-inch wide glass slot. And otherwise it's a flat panel. Some more information about the construction of the door, but again pointing to that similar kind of detail. There's some specifications here about being 18 gauge, etc. And then this is now our zoning and inspections review, which again, somehow this all got blank. So, the zoning administrator states that it does meet the requirements of the land use ordinance, and the chief building inspector says it will require a building permit, building and electric permits. All right, other than that, I'm ready with my recommendations.
Okay. Are there any conflicts of interest with this project? Any member of the board?
No.
Hearing none. We're ready for discussion. A couple of points. You have just one light back there.
I was going to do
2 lights.
I failed to put
You
that
show
there.
one over the door.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. What am I trying to say? Put 2 back there, one over the door and offset the other one to the other side for security.
Both on that wall.
Yes.
Okay. The drawing just shows one, but okay. There's a drain pipe on the left-hand side of that wall that terminates right now in the middle of the grassy area, you're going to carry that out through the curb?
Yes. Yes.
Is that other picture was to show us how that's going to look?
Oh,
Actually,
On the
that
Chelsea.
drain right now does not go to anything but the yard. So it will, Jerry from J&J Digging, who does, he will do the pouring of the concrete.
Okay.
But he said that he would have everything, the drain line run through the back, fix the one curb that's there to the left to match so that it's already broken up. So we'll fix and repair that, but that way he can run that drain line to the
Right out to the
back
curb.
parking lot. Yeah.
Okay. Other questions, from folks? No? Okay.
Let's go up there. You can ask.
Oh, I'm sorry, is there anyone in opposition to the project? No? Okay. Good. We're ready for a motion?
One question.
Oh, question?
Yes, do you plan to use this at night as well as day?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be-
Okay, and do you think 2 lights will be sufficient for night use?
Yeah, I'm gonna have 2 switches. So one will be for service during regular service when we're open, and the second would be to turn it on for security
Okay,
at nighttime when we're closing up.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And there is lighting out in the parking lot also. There's overhead lighting in the parking lot, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Beth, you don't, you good? There's your adjacent property owner right there.
Okay, I think we're ready to hear then your recommendation.
okay.
Or maybe I was premature.
Okay, so these are the findings and recommendations for the project at 411 Broad Street for Mr. Chris Hovland. The historic property name is 411 to 413 Broad Street Stores. It is a contributing resource in the historic district. The National Register inventory description for it is built in circa 1925, 1-story brick twin stores with diamond pattern designs above storefronts, stepped parapets, and flat roof. And the twin stores is because it's actually 2 stores in the same building. And Mr. Hovland is looking to use just 411. So Sandbeck also has nothing relevant to the rear wall or that patio space. And so the description for the project is 411 Broad Street is to include removing the existing rear doorway and 1 window opening, filling them with brick, the enlargement of another window opening for use as a doorway, installation of a concrete patio, exterior lighting, and fencing, all in the tertiary AVC. So staff submits the following historic district guidelines are appropriate to this application. For utilities, 2.3.6, fences and garden walls, 2.5.1, 2.5.3, modifications, 3.2.1, 3.2.2, foundations, 4.1.2, walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.1, windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.1, 4.3.2, for masonry, 5.1.1, 5.1.2, for metal, 5.3.3, 5.3.4, paint, 5.4.2, 5.4.3, and 5.4.4. So the statements of reason based on the information contained in the application in staff's judgment are: 1, the project is located in the dense fabric development pattern. 2, the proposal is a rear wall modification, patio, and fence project. 3, the reference to the foundation guidelines that I just mentioned is to include the guideline for recessing the infill areas for the existing door and window openings. 4, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 5, the zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 6, the application is not incongruous with the guidelines. So staff recommends the commission approve this application to include removing the existing rear doorway and 1 window opening, filling them with brick, the enlargement of another window opening for use as a doorway, installation of a concrete patio, exterior lighting, and fencing, all in the tertiary AVC. That concludes my
Okay.
recommendation.
I have a
Question?
I have a question. Are you painting anything?
Do you want to pull that picture back up? It would show my beautiful fence and all that. The building that jets to the left with the chimney is already painted white. Well, it's white with blue, light blue powdered trim that they started to paint. So I do need to bring it back to that lighter color. So I will need to paint that, the wall that's already painted on the left.
Which is like a little addition to the back of that
Yeah, if you go to
structure.
the actual property,
Are you painting the chimney? Or
no,
just
the
the
chimney
wall?
will stay just the wall that's already been painted with two colors.
Then you want to add, if you approve the application, want to add the appropriate guidelines for paint.
Well, you had paint guidelines in it, and I
Oh,
thought, well, are you
okay,
painting
for the
something?
fence,
That's what
yeah.
made me, well,
Yeah.
they're not painting the fence is already
Yeah, the
prefabricated.
paint will be the black
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
on the
there's no
fence
paint on
already.
the
Yeah,
fence.
okay, I guess
So
I did.
that's why I asked the question about paint, I didn't know where the paint came in, so.
Okay,
But it's an existing masonry wall that's already painted, and you're just gonna repaint it.
that's good.
Yeah, it's a cinder block building
Right,
Yeah.
on the left.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
I just need to clean it. so
I got
it
you.
looks appropriate.
yep, okay.
Okay, are there other questions or comments? You have any final comments? Okay. I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay.
Oh, you wanna pass it down, pass it back to you? So,
Tony, you want to?
you wanna do it? You got it, John? Okay, he's got it.
I move to find the application for an amendment for 411
Broad Street.
Broad Street to be not congruent with New Bern's Code of Ordinance, sections 15.411-15.429 and New Bern Historic District guidelines based on the following guidelines and findings of fact. Guidelines being utilities 2.3.6, fences and garden walls 2.5.1, 2.5.3, modifications 3.2.1, 3.2.2, foundations 4.1.2, walls, trim, ornamentation 4.2.1. You can move that up, please. Windows, doors, and openings 4.3.1, 4.3.2. Masonry 5.1.1, 5.1.2, metal 5.3.3, 5.3.4, paint 5.2, correction pot 5.4.2, 5.4.3, 5.4.4. Proposed project is in the tertiary area of visual concern. Statements of reason: the project is located in the dense fabric development pattern. The proposal is in the rear wall modification, patio, and fence project. Reference number 3, reference to the foundation guidelines is to include a guideline for assessing the infill areas for the existing door and window openings. Number 4, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. Number 5, the zoning administrator and chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And number 6, application is not incongruous with the guidelines.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. It's approved. Need a motion to issue the COA.
So moved.
Moved and seconded.
There you
Tony seconded.
go.
And that moved. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Good to go.
Who did the second on the first motion? Candace, thank you.
All done.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Right, too.
Okay, I guess we still don't have 823 Pollock, so we'll go on to 509 Queen.
All right, yeah. Yay. Okay, so this is the application for 509 Queen Street. The owners are Thomas and Susan via Aaron, and the applicant is Go Architectural Design, Sarah Offenbach. And we can see we have the description, the guidelines, and description of the work, the guidelines, and the description of the materials. We have all the various items checked off, and it is signed by Sarah Offenbach and dated. And so that means we have here now an owner's authorization for Sarah to represent the owners. However, I believe the owners are here. So, excellent. So here we have the first page of the drawings. Gives you an idea of the front elevation of the house that is to be constructed on this lot. Here are some photographs of the lot in the upper left. It's a vacant lot with paving throughout the surface of the lot, and then it is surrounded by a brick lattice wall. You can see in various of the photos at the top. And then some photos of the context along the streetscape. In the lower left corner, it's where my little pointer hand is here, behind these trees on the right, but you see some of the other houses and buildings surrounding. And the one in the middle, again, the property, subject property is behind the yellow house. And also to note here is the varying setbacks. This yellow house is closer to the street, and this one on the right is farther back with a substantial front yard for the neighborhood. And then some more context, homes farther west on Queen Street. So here is a site map with the neighborhood context here, showing all the other various homes and their property lines. The subject property is this gray and white one in the middle, or in the upper right of the image at the moment. And Queen Street's along the top at the angle, and on the right is Hancock Street. And to note here is how the house is oriented compared to the street. However, it's parallel to its lot lines. Also to note is that the driveway is on the upper right-hand side of the property, or the northeast side of the property. And we'll see in a minute that the parking is in a carport of sorts. The dashed line is the building envelope for the property. So a little bit tricky on the setbacks there. So here's some other context shots for other homes. In particular, actually this one in particular, 514 Craven Street, which is here in the middle of this drawing. It's it is a house that's also situated at an angle similar to the one that's proposed. And so this is the first floor plan. So as I mentioned, this is the carport now on the top edge here with the car parked there on a concrete pad. And then the entryway is a covered porch with wraparound brick masonry steps. And we'll see in a minute, but in the elevation, but here you can see the 4 square columns on the front of the building, and then a 5th one at the back corner of the carport. The other element to point out here is the covered porch on the side of the house is actually recessed into the body of the house. And so the roof of the house would cover that porch. And there's brick steps along the length of that porch. So this is shows the second floor plan, so you can see it's only a portion of the entire footprint of the house. for 2 bedrooms and a bath. So here again, now we see the front elevation again, and the dormer then, as now you know, is windows for the upper second floor for the bedrooms up there. And then now this side is the side that has the carport and the covered porch. And we have a gable, a pair of gables, and for the front portion of the house, and the rear portion of the house is a single story with a hip roof on it. The siding is, for the upper portion, is board and batten siding, and then for the lower portion, then it's horizontal siding, the hardy board siding. And then our last sheet here is then the other 2 remaining elevations. This is the rear elevation, and you can see the carport on the right, the back of the carport essentially. The second story addition, second story roof, the roof for the second story in the background basically, and actually this 1-story portion pops farther out from the elevation. As you can see down below, it's larger. And so then from the side, this is now the, let's say, call it the western side. And again, we have the board and batten on the second floor. We have a whole series of windows along here, some square and some tall. We have the horizontal siding, and the foundation wall is brick masonry. And they are above the flood plain, so there's no concerns about flood vents or anything like that. So other than that, we have our zoning and inspections blank form. So, Pollock Street's done. 5 and 9. So it meets the requirements of the land use ordinance, and as you might expect, it will require a building permit. So, all right, other than that, we're ready for our...
Okay. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with this project?
No.
Hearing none? Okay. Is there anything you guys would like to say? The owners or the representative? Okay. Okay, is there anyone here to speak for or against the project? Seeing none? I think we're ready for your recommendation.
All right. So the findings and recommendations for 509 Queen Street for Thomas and Susan via Aaron and Go Architectural Design. There is no historic property name for this vacant lot, nor a description in any of the various
It does have the
documents.
most interesting history, though.
Yes, it does.
It was part of the Pepsi plant,
That's right.
which I learned today from the owners.
And then I understand it was also a parking lot for the Masonic Temple, so.
Cool.
But aside from that, no. 509 Queen Street project is to include construction of a 1.5-story infill house on a vacant parcel. So staff submits the following historic district guidelines are appropriate to this application. For the development pattern, 2.1.1, 2, and 3. For utilities, 2.3.1, 2, 3, and 6. For landscaping, 2.4.3, 4, and 7. For parking, 2.7.4. For design principles, 3.1.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For infill construction, 3.4.1, 2, 3, and 4. For foundations, 4.1.3 and 4. For walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.4. For windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.2 and 3. For entrances, 4.4.4. For roofs, 4.5.6. For masonry, 5.1.3, 5, and 6. For metals, 5.3.3 and 4. For paint, 5.4.2, 3, 4, and 6. For contemporary materials, 5.5.1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Statements of reason based on the information contained in the application and staff's judgment are: 1, the project is located in the tight weave development pattern. The proposal is an infill project. 3, the proposed design components and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. 4, the zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly. And 5, the project is not incongruous with the guidelines. So staff recommends the commission approve this application to include construction of a 1.5-story infill house on a vacant parcel with the following condition. The COA is not valid and construction may not begin until the applicant provides to the HPA the drawings, details, and description of the utilities, exterior lighting, and landscaping for this project, and the HPA has reviewed the information and approves by issuing an amended COA the installation of said utilities, lighting, and landscaping. And that's it.
Okay. Any final comments? No? Okay. Discussion, questions?
Matt, could we please see the front entrance again, please?
Sure. Quite big. There we go. A little bit smaller, maybe.
Where's the door?
The door is right behind this wall here. So let me go to the plan. So
Oh,
I'll
it's
explain it.
deep. Oh, okay, I got you.
You go around the corner to see it. So you would be able to see it actually on this elevation here. So these are the front steps on the right-hand side, and then this is the front door.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, one other thing. You mentioned landscaping. We don't see a landscape plan. Are we going to get one later?
That's right. That's what the condition was for. Yeah. They could certainly just submit it as a separate minor COA. That's another option.
Yeah, I was gonna
So it's up
ask
to you.
that, like a landscape plan, for them to go to that detail at this point. I'm not
Right.
sure that I would need that for a COA.
So, yes, so you wouldn't necessarily need to hold up the beginning of construction,
Building permit on that.
waiting for a landscape plan, right?
But you're asking, when you say utilities, you just want to know where the HVAC is sitting?
That's correct, and then it will have to be screened appropriately, and that's the main.
So that's something you'll need to figure
So
out.
that's the
And
one.
then,
Yep.
what else did you say? The utilities and exterior lighting.
Right. Meaning, lighting attached to the structure.
And your condition is those things are in your hand before construction?
Yes, so primarily the two would be the more important ones, the utilities and the lighting.
And maybe they come back with landscaping later.
Yes,
Yeah.
they can do that later.
Okay.
And may I say how happy we are to see that lot being used?
Okay, any other questions?
Just one question about the foundation and maybe like any insets doing as opposed to straight brick wall, like any thought?
Mhm.
We had just proposed a straight brick wall. It's only a 30-inch high foundation, so it's not really showing a lot.
And
To put in all the little simulated piers is, I don't know.
Yeah, plus this is
excessive.
it's a modern structure, right? So,
it's a small detail. Anyway,
Okay, ready for motion? Who's got the,
okay. Let's see, where'd it go? I lost it.
all right, there we go. Let me get it bigger for you.
Okay. So I move that the application for, what's my address? 509 Queen Street, to be not incongruous with the New Bern's Code of Ordinances, sections 15.411 and 15.429, and New Bern's Historic District Guidelines based on the following specific guidelines. So development pattern 2.1, 2.1.1, 2, and 3, utilities 2.3.1, 2, 3, and 6. Should we hold off on the landscaping until they do
Yeah.
landscaping? Okay,
Yeah.
hold off on the landscaping. Parking 2.7.4, design principles 3.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, infill construction, 3.4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Foundations, 4.1.3 and 4. Walls, trim, and ornamentation, 4.2.4. Windows, doors, and openings, 4.3.2 and 3. Entrances,
Whoops.
it's okay, 4.4.4. Roofs, 4.5.6. Masonry, 5.1, 5, and 6.
Whoops, wait,
5.3.
5.1.3, 5, and 6, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Metals, 5.3.3 and 4. Paint, 5.4.2, 3, 4, and 6. Contemporary materials, 5.1, 5.1, 2, and 3, 5 and 6. And then the statement of reasons is that the project is located in the tightly development
Or
pattern.
statement.
Statement of fact.
Sorry, finding of facts, thank you. The proposal is an infill project. The proposed design, components, and materials meet the requirements of the guidelines. The zoning administrator and the chief building official have reviewed this project and commented accordingly, and the project is not incongruous with the guidelines.
Is there a second?
Well, do you have a condition at all?
Okay, so that the COA not be issued and no building permit until the applicant has submitted drawings for description of utilities and exterior lighting, and can they do that to staff, or do y'all want to see the exterior lighting?
There won't be any exterior lighting.
Okay, so
All the
the,
lighting is going to be recessed into the ceiling.
oh, okay, so all the lighting's recessed and underneath? And so can utilities, is everybody okay with the utilities going to the staff as a minor to make sure that their screened is really the, yeah, where they're going to be and that they're screened appropriately, so as a condition that you bring that back to staff to show where the utilities are going to be and that they're screened appropriately.
Right,
So
you don't
that's
need
the
to see
motion.
it because staff typically reviews that as a minor
Okay.
anyway, without HPC.
There you
needing
go.
to see it, so.
So is there even a motion needed?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, so a
an amendment,
condition.
a condition,
Mhm.
condition needed, so,
Well, yes,
for,
the utilities then.
okay, so utilities will come to staff and they'll, make sure they meet the guidelines, so that's the condition, that's the motion and condition.
And the seconder? Love
Second.
second? Okay. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion's approved. Motion to issue a COA.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And just to be clear, Mr. Acting Chair, the motion to issue the COA is with the condition.
With the condition met.
Okay.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. Peggy seconded. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. We're good.
All right.
Thank you. Are those the folks from 823 Pollock back there?
No,
No. Okay.
okay.
So we need to
Maybe they're here for
continue
the
that.
general public comments.
So we'll need a motion to continue 823 Pollock Street
That's right.
until next meeting, whatever that date is, at
Motion to
5:30.
continue, what is it?
Application for 823
My
Pollock.
application for 823
Pollock.
Mhm.
sorry, I'm looking at.
So I think the
Sorry,
motion, Mr.
823
Acting Chair,
Pollock.
would be
823 Pollock until, what's the date? May,
The third Wednesday in May.
until the third Wednesday in May,
Yeah.
5:30
At
PM
5:30.
in City Hall, in this location.
For the reason that they didn't show up.
It's the 18th, May.
18th, May 18th, 5:30,
so that the applicant can be present and offer additional information.
so that the applicant can be present and offer additional information.
Is there a second
That
for
was a
that?
motion.
Who did the second?
Not one yet.
Second.
Second, Peggy, second. Yeah. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So you were here for that one?
No, we're not, Leadership Craven.
For what?
Leadership Craven.
Oh,
Oh,
All right.
Welcome.
Oh,
Good,
neat.
glad you're here. Good.
Y'all have any
It's not usually
comments?
so chaotic.
Great.
All right.
You came to a
You're
good
welcome.
meeting.
Okay, we have no old business that I know of. We have no general public,
That's correct.
new business, none. Do you have anything of significance in your report? Or is
No, well, let's see, other items and updates. Only thing is I handed out to you the the information pages for the awards. Thing I know Chair Cox would like to discuss that at the next meeting. So
Okay.
it's kind of preparation for that.
Okay.
Nope, otherwise, that's it.
I would like to just make a suggestion on that bullet point, award to be given one time a year at the end of the year, maybe to say annual award given at the end of the year, it's just less wordy.
Okay, so that'll be something we'll discuss.
It'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. We can
Yeah,
work and wordsmith it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, any comments for any commissioners? Hearing
Well,
none.
Thank John, this is John's last
That's
meeting.
right.
Last meeting, you're new though. You can't read it, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You'll
Life
be
goes
missed,
on.
John.
Yeah. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second.
That was a question, that was a question mark.
So moved. And second, all in favor, state aye. Meeting adjourned. Record time, all right.
6:57. Good thing I didn't tell them to show up
We
at
moved in
7:15.